You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this is one of those kind of videos where I'm really interested in what you guys have to say. Because you guys know I'm a big Tom Brady fan. And Patrick Mahomes, of course, we just had this conversation. It was the Patrick Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers conversation because of what Ben Roethlisberger said the other day about he would take prime Aaron Rodgers over prime Patrick Mahomes. And we talked about the fact that nobody has really talked about the fact that Patrick Mahomes did not have a good year last year. All right. Or you could say he had a pretty good year. Yeah, he was 15-1, but statistically, Aaron Rodgers had just as good a season last year with the Jets as Patrick Mahomes did with the Chiefs. The difference, obviously, the teams and the coaching was not nearly up to par for Aaron Rodgers as it was for Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid and the defense of the Chiefs, all of that sort of thing. The Jets were in shambles, in other words. But I saw this, and while it did not surprise me that they have an open dialogue and talk to each other quite a bit, it does surprise me in one aspect. Tom Brady is a minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's weird because this is just now starting to make the rounds, and I got to wonder, is anybody going to make this an issue? You know, I mean, obviously, I don't think Tom Brady is disclosing trade secrets with a Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, but the old school side of me cannot stand the idea of a Raiders minority owner having regular conversations with the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. What? And maybe this is a 2025 kind of thing. I can't imagine. Can you imagine Tom Brady when he was playing for Bill Belichick having conversations with, I mean, what would this be the equivalent of? He's having conversations with the Jets owner? I mean, he's a minority owner, but let's be honest. He's a much higher profile minority. He's the highest profile minority owner in sports, probably, to be quite honest. And I was like, wow, and I understand why there would be a dialogue between the two. I do, because of where they stand historically among quarterbacks all time. I get that. And Brady obviously has some insight on, or trying to give him advice or whatever. Mahomes having to handle all this. And Brady just seems like a guy that would talk to anybody, There's been a lot of, there's been players that say they can literally pick up their cell phone, call Tom, and he'll pick up. I mean, and that's pretty wild when you think about it. When he was still playing, Tom Brady defeated Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. But now he's retired, Brady is providing some insight and advice to the Chiefs quarterback. In an interview with Up and Adams that aired Monday, Mahomes noted that he's long had thoughts about his legacy and could be when he's done, what his legacy could be when he's done playing. But when Brady recently noted that Mahomes has a chance to duplicate some of Brady's historical impact on the game, that also provided a little additional motivation for the Kansas City quarterback. Quote, I think legacy is always in the back of your mind. Even from the beginning of my career, Mahomes told Kay Adams. But at the end of the day, it's about taking it a day at a time, a day and a day and a day, and just continuing to do that. That's a good way of looking at it. I mean, the fact that he's grounded enough that he can look at it that way, that's how it has to be done. That's something I've been conscious of knowing how blessed I am to be in Kansas City, to have all these great players around me. to having Andy Reid as your coach. You might want to throw that out there. One of the best offensive minds ever. Quote, and having Tom, a guy like that, say that just motivates me even more. I've actually talked to Tom a good amount this offseason. Let me repeat that. I've actually talked to Tom a good amount this offseason. It's cool that he wants to give me advice, that he doesn't have to be like that. He's such a good dude, and I have so much respect for him, and I'll take any advice that he gives me. Well, that's smart. What is the advice? Question mark. I've got to keep my secrets, Mahomes said, tongue in cheek. But he always talks about being yourself. He thinks, which I truly believe too, is that guys can spot when you're not authentic and you're not putting in the work. That's something he did every single day. Yeah, Brady worked his ass off. That's why guys respected him so much. And that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my career. And I feel like I've done so far is I'm always myself. No matter if you like me or don't like me, I'm giving everything I can to win football games. When Mahomes and Brady can relate to a lot as quarterbacks, Brady's status as Raiders minority owner could raise some questions about the nature of their relationship. Though Mahomes and the Chiefs suffered a bitter defeat in the Super Bowl back in February, but given the team's success since Mahomes took over as QB1 in 2018, there's no reason to think Kansas City won't be a serious contender in 2025. So there you are. Now, Florio just floated it out there as a one-liner, but it was the first thing I thought of. Literally, I was like, I didn't hear nothing else other than they've talked regularly, and this off season, and my very next thought was, but wait a minute, you're a minority owner of the Raiders, the hated Raiders, the rival Raiders. I mean, it's weird, but things aren't handled the way they were 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Yankees and Red Sox guys didn't go out to eat dinner with each other after games. They do that kind of shit now. Drives me up a tree. The NBA is the worst. I'm like, good God, why don't y'all just all swap each other's numbers? And I mean, you bozos, y'all are supposed to be rivals and opposing opponents, and they're all scheming on when to hook up with the next team. Let's all go play on this next team together. That didn't happen. It didn't happen back in the day. If you hear stories about Larry Bird and how he dealt with his opponents, how he dealt with Dominique Wilkins, telling Wilkins, I'm about to cook your ass, and he meant it, and then went out and wore him out. Dominique's one of the greatest players ever. Larry Bird went through him like, goose shitting through a screen door. Just ran right through him. It's just not the same these days. But I thought that was odd because this is the one sport where you don't see a lot of that cohabitation, crossover, cross-pollination. There's still a lot of secrecy, we think, but we're finding out the owners are all swapping secrets and colluding together over contracts. So I don't know. I mean, it's just strange to me. Maybe that's my age and the old school nature of it, but I'm like, if you're Mark Davis, do you love this? I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you probably don't give a shit because you're probably thinking, well, we're going to beat the tar out of the Raiders anyway, but no, Raiders have won a couple of games against the Chiefs lately. They won one on Christmas Day, if I remember correctly, when Antonio Pierce was still there. And Lord knows they got a hell of an upgrade. The Raiders are going to be interesting this year. There's a lot of interesting just from coaching changes. The Patriots, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniel, massive upgrade. Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, massive upgrade. It's going to make the league very interesting this year. I can't wait. If only Belichick was still coaching somewhere, that would have been the only damn thing, and Tom Brady coming out of retirement. That'd be the other one. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.